Hey everyone, I am Kate Davis and I am in my studio at Podunk Hollow. Today I wanted to play around with some of these glass ornaments, and I've already removed the little top. What I'm going to do with it is use alcohol inks to make it look just like a really beautiful Christmas tree ornament. And see, I found this at A.C. Moore for just a few dollars in a big package. I think it was on sale. Probably was. And also, these are what I'm going to use with it. These are alcohol inks, Tim Holtz Adirondack. I've got pearl and I've got copper. And this is my favorite, Wild Plum. It turns so bright in certain conditions. It's a really bright pink. And then I'm going to see where I want to go next after I've done these ones. I'm going to use some very conflicting colors. Maybe purple. See, I think this one's called Currant and Poppy Field. And this one was really hard to get loose and get it opened, so I had to use these friendly tools. These are some of my favorite tools I have here. My hands are just weak, and these things, they can open almost anything, although I was getting a little worried with this guy. So, safety. There are going to be fumes from these alcohol inks. They smell awful. Some people want to use gloves. I haven't had a problem with that, but you should use gloves. You should also use a 3M respirator. That would be the safest thing to do. I'm also tempting fate on that, but that is what you should do. And let's see. Materials, something to open these things with because it's difficult. And something for the little drips. I have this tiny straw that I use to blow the ink around. And let's see. The 91% isopropyl alcohol, which you can use for cleanup and you can use to thin it down. You can use it for different effects. I don't use it too much on these. So what I start out with one of the mixatives. Different people have different methods. See, I think I want to start out with some copper first. Let's see if it's hard to open. No, it's good. Kind of generous with it, but not too generous. You'll know when you've used too much because it will be a muddy mess and then you'll have to clean it. So go just enough inside to where it doesn't make a big muddy mess. It gets a little clogged. But these are full of little mica powders, and little mica powders and alcohol do this really interesting thing. They make it shimmer as it's running, as it's wet. I'm sure there's a word for the reaction, but I don't really know what it is. Got a little bit more on the bottom. I may be hitting the limit on how much to use. And fumes are starting to get kind of bad, so. Big breath away from it. Big breath. And then I want it to dry just enough to where it's not running. It's hard to judge that from the outside, but once you get some pigment in there, you'll be able to tell because it will move. Big breath away from it. And see, that's already interesting. I don't start out covering the entire surface with the mica filled inks. What I do is I let them dry a little bit and then come back and add another layer. The worst disaster is when it all turns to mud inside here, because that is not interesting at all. So let's hope we don't do that, because cleaning it up is not fun. You have to go in with this and get interesting rivulets of rubbing alcohol. It's not fun, it's not pretty, and you get shiny ink all over you. Okay, so next I'm going to go ahead and get the really bright pink out. The Wild Plum. It's supposed to be a bit more purple, but I find that it's a really vibrant pink. It's my favorite color of the entire line. Probably because it's wild. I don't like things to behave. I never did. I like things to have a little bit of unpredictability. Is that a word? I think that is. Unpredictable. So, a little here and a little there. It's getting much more interesting. So, I want it to go in between if I can, and you can kind of guide it around. And it's hitting right here and it's becoming mud. Not bad. It's still interesting. It's running here. I'm going to get it to channel through the heavy mica inks. Get it to run right through instead of mixing up with them. A little bit of mixing is nice, but you don't want mud. That is still running. Probably can't see it right now. Not very well. But where the ink is meeting this mica, it's causing it looks like it's excited. All these little pieces just move and jiggle and run all over the place. Might be kind of done moving there in other areas. And I like this effect here where it's touching. So this is plain. Let's go and do that without making mud. So I'm just putting a dot kind of inside to let it run down, and I want it to kind of ping pong around at the mica without running into it too much. It makes it like little islands inside. It reacts with the edges. Moves. Let's see, that looks good. Still moving just a little bit. See, this spot here is really dull. I wonder if I could fix that a little bit. So I'm going to try and aim for that big spot. See if I get it. Yeah, a little bit. Okay, and then back. Really use your gravity to move it around. I like that. And then it's reacting down here. It's coming down. Coming down. Coming all the way down. It's making some interesting patterns there. Look at that. That's pretty. Let's aim over there. Ping pong around and then come over this way. And let it just kind of skirt around the edge. Maybe go back up that way if I can, if it's still wet. Okay, and see where it's mixed here? That looks interesting. If you get much more than that, it won't. It'll be a rose gold color and that's it. Okay, well, this side is looking nice. This side could still use a little more something. So, see, I want to try to aim around, I'd love to aim between these two spots of copper colored alcohol ink, but I don't think I'm going to make it there. To be really good with your aim. Okay, I did it. Okay, and back the other way. Twist it back upside down. And if you're worried it's going to dribble, have a little napkin handy. You clean up spray. It helps too. This is my usual napkin. That's nice. A little tap. That's nice. I don't like to leave the lids off of these for too long. They will dry up. But you can work with it. They have enough time for that. So a little bit there. And then, no, I'll still see some spots where we can work for the next stage. And turn it. And you haven't seen me do a lot of blowing on it now. I find that once you get so much in there, especially if you're using a lot of the mixatives, if you start blowing on it, it causes it to mix too much. So just that will help a little bit. Give it some airflow, and you can kind of smell when it's starting to be less fumey. It's drying. You want to have great ventilation in here. I did just turn off my fan because it was too loud for the video, but you need great ventilation as well. Some people get pretty bad headaches from alcohol inks, but they're beautiful. I love the way it's winding around in here and making patterns. Kind of looks like a planet or ocean if it were pink. I think there are some places where they have some pink water. I've never been there. I think all our water is brown here, especially this time of year. Okay, so a lot of pigment is inside that. Set the lid on top. Set it over here for now. I want to get it more dry. And sometimes when you're working with this, you will get little dribbles outside. I think I have some right there. Really easy to clean up. Let's take your spray or a cotton ball. You can do that too. Do it however you want. See? People do this a lot of different ways. This is just the way I do it. And every artist finds their own way of doing things. Next, what I'm going to go in there with is a little bit of this pearl, and I have used it a lot lately. It really gives a background shimmer, and I love shimmer. First thing I want to do is to give it a good shake. The powders inside will settle, and some of them have a little agitating ball inside, like the nail polishes. I don't hear one inside of this one. Oh, there it is. It's like Speak of the Devil, right? Speak it, and there it shows up. So the pearl mixative gives a really pretty background shimmer to it. And you have to go kind of light on it too. It will cause a little bit of runniness. See how it picks up the pink? And it really makes it pop. And there it's running down the side. You have to be aware of it. You have to babysit it so that it doesn't blend all your colors into a big mass. A shiny mass, but a boring mass. I don't like to be boring. Where else? I like this, but this edge is a little dull. Wonder if I can come along and kind of just skirt the edge there. You may have other plans. Sometimes it hits an area that's more, that's not quite dry. It's more wet. Yeah. And it will go along that vein like it's doing right here. It didn't want to hit here. It wanted to go ahead and continue down this way, which is pretty. Makes an interesting rivulet. So I don't want to try again there. I want to move to the other side for a little while. Let that react. A little bit over here. Try and hit the edge, and you can see this one really playing with the pigment and not pigment, ink. It's ink. It's totally different system. I think I've been saying it wrong. Ink and pigment, those are two different systems of color, and I have not been saying them correctly. But it really makes the ink pop alongside your mica with your mica inside of this. This is pearl colored mica. Very pretty. Very pretty. Where's another interesting place? I think that I could go down here a little bit if I could hit inside that. Down, down, down. And maybe one more little pop there. Alright. Let's make a pool here. I want to run that pool around just a little bit. Too much pearl. So it's touching some of the copper and pulling it out. And then back down. I want to go over that with something else later. It's just not organic enough for me. Let's see. About right in here. See where that goes. And sometimes they go behind the more opaque areas of your composition and you can't see them very well. I like that. It's touching there, running down. Very nice. I love this mottled effect. I don't know what that is called. I think some flow artists call it lacing. It's very pretty. I don't know if I'll be able to keep that effect as I add colors. And that over that way. It's a slow process. You have to wait for it to roll down the sides, and you have to wait for it to dry a little bit. You kind of look inside and see if it's running or not. If you look inside and you see your first color, your first mixative, which I use the copper, if you look inside and you see it moving all over the place, it's not good. You want to find a spot where you don't mind for it to run and turn it up and then let the excess drip out a little bit. And then give it ample time to get dry. So this looks great for now. I want to add some color, some strange color to it. And I'm really debating on that. I often use purple with it. It's kind of boring though, isn't it? How about red? Red and pink together. I can't think of something that would clash more than that. And this would be more of an accent color. It would mostly just touch the pink in certain areas and show a dark area, and if you get it on here while it's still kind of wet, it's going to blend in a whole lot. You're not going to see it that much. You're going to see hints of it. So using something really conflicting like pink and red together, it's going to be okay. And these are beautiful. These are almost like little planets. We've seen a lot of really pretty ones people have done this year. Some people do on the outside with different materials, and some do on the inside. I like it on the inside because I don't have to worry about the shine, about it flaking off when someone touches it. But you should give it a little bit of a spray coat inside after it's all dry, so that it won't flake off after years of use. So an odd little red dash going straight down, and that just gives it something interesting, something a little unexpected. Going all the way down. It's probably going under here where I can't see it very well. It's probably going right over here. It'd be nice if it hit that empty spot. I like to fill in as many of my empty spots as I can. It's not quite making it all the way down. Another one. About right beside here. Let's see, the plan would be to run straight down that way. See if that works. And these can be unpredictable, especially if you do it like I do, or just kind of just fun. Fun with very, very basic plan. And see, that made a big accent color. You may be able to get it to blend in with the mica if I turn it. And in this case, I could use this just a little bit to see if it'll blend. Just right there, just a little. You don't want to do too much for me. The copper is much more dry than it was, so. Alright, I like it. I could see something over here, kind of in the middle of that spot. And boop. Just kind of let it sit and roll right there. Right there. Let it revive some of that copper. Mix in just a touch. And then, yay, right there, down in that bottom spot. Let it fill in all the way. And there's a lot of mica in it from where it ran down the side. It's so fun to watch. It's almost like looking in a kaleidoscope. So it's almost filled in. I'm not going to worry too much if there's a tiny spot. This adds to the interest of the piece. I like what it's doing here. Still want to add an accent. If I were more patient, I would put these into a little dish so that I could use about the size of a droplet as I want, because these give a fairly standard droplet. Sometimes it gives you more than you want. Well, if this would go into this little corner and then take up, oh, there it goes. It's fun to explore. And that is coming down here. It's making really nice colors. Oh, and this is doing some kind of that mottledy lace look. Anyway, this medium is really fun if you can get over the smell. And I should be using more protective measures. But I'm not. They kind of get in my way, which is the excuse of everyone. But I should be using gloves, mask. I don't even have my apron on right now. I really should be wearing that because I'm wearing my pretty caftan. It's blending a little bit. This is getting a lot closer to getting done. I would love to put a droplet right there on the edge of the copper. Let's see if I can hit it. Pretty close, pretty close. Bring it back up. Revive. Revive it. Oh, come on. That looks pretty good. Looks very interesting. I think some people remove the tops of these a little bit. And you can use a toothpick to pick up very small amounts of the color. Some people use a dropper or a syringe. This is just the easiest way. I think this is the most common way, is to use it straight out of the bottle. But a lot of times when you'll see these beautiful paintings of flowers and trees and sunsets and fields, and they're done in alcohol ink, and you wonder how. Well, I don't think they're using it straight out of the bottle. This looks really great. I would love to mix up something right there. Let's see if I can aim for it, and boop. And I might be done with the red. That might be it. Let's see. Alright. Right up underneath it. It's kind of breaking through just a little. If I could get it to run down this way. I think it ran up that way. No, there it is. Okay, now let it dry a little bit. Almost done with it. Might add a touch more pearl and then just a little bit more of this, or maybe the other way around. And that's what we have so far. You could consider this completely done, and I probably should, because sometimes you can mess with it too much. And pearl is probably my favorite, but you could add something else to accent these colors. You could put silver in if you wanted, which gives it a really nice look. I hope you're seeing the colors as they run through. So pretty. It picks it up so nicely. And sometimes it runs that way. There you go. And don't be afraid to turn it upside down. It gets on your hands, so what? I don't think I ever have clean hands. Let's see, it'd be good to get right there. It's a spot I keep trying to go for. Here it is. Here's one. And the other way, get it to go between there. Looks so pretty. Very pretty right here, where it's reaching down. So you want to see if I can go along this vein. It's moving it. Well, I really love the look of it right now. Where'd that go? It's behind something fake. Okay. Let's get a little closer on there. Opening back up the wild plum. And these sets are available at many, many, many craft stores. I think Joann's has them, Hobby Lobby, Michael's. I did not see this brand at Jerry's Artorama, but that's another fun place to go to. Let's see, did they have these at AC Moore? They do. They have some of these at AC Moore as well. And of course online. But I like my coupons better at those stores. I like to go into them and use the big, wonderful coupons. Okay, where did that hit? I think it hit near where I was going. It was awfully close. So maybe in that spot. No, I missed. Yeah, I get it. If I could go down this, yes, right there. And hit. And come back up with it. And then let it mix. I'll go a little bit on there, on the outside. How about if I try to get that? See if it's not quite straight down. Oh, right there. Alright. So this is a very pink and gold piece. And I think that is nearly where I want it. That side's a little bit dull. Well, I've probably said a few times I've got it where I want it, but then I go and play again. So really, really fun medium. Right in there. I'm close to making mud. Very pretty. And the wild plum took up a lot of the pearl and also took a lot of the copper up. Swirled it around. There's a lot of rose gold coloring in here. All very interesting colors. A lot of it around the edge. And you come by later, clean up the outside anytime. It's not something you want to get on your clothes, but on a surface like this, there's no worries. It'll come right off. Scrubbing. And I'm all done with that. It just needs to dry thoroughly. Alcohol inks dry really fast. However, if you have them inside something like this, it's going to take longer. So what I would do be to at least let it sit overnight. I'm pretty patient with my colors. I have some paints that take 3 days to a month or more to get good and dry. Thankfully, alcohol inks aren't like that. However, I'd still probably give it a few days to be on the safe side. Because as you can see, I spent quite a few minutes playing with it, making it, loving it, giving it all kinds of interesting features. And I would hate to do any varnish inside only to see it just wash away. And really don't even have to do too much varnishing, but just for longevity's sake. Another thing I have here, which I didn't use on this one, is a little bit of Pearl-Ex mica powder, interference gold, and this is number 674. Sometimes, with a mask on, right, I will take a little bit of this and just put some in kind of at the end after I'm mostly done adding to it, to where it'll stick just a bit, and just kind of tap it around. Just tap, 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 tap. And there's not a lot of effect that it adds, but it can add just a little more interesting texture inside, and some shine, not a lot of shine, but it does give it a little bit of an interesting texture, especially if it's still wet. And I don't like to add too much more alcohol on top of it because it can get clumpy, and clumpy is ugly. You want it to look smooth as possible, like the ideal alien planet, beautiful Christmas tree ornament, however you feel when you're making it. That is part of the beauty of a handmade item, is that the person, while they're making it, is thinking all kinds of interesting thoughts while they're making it. They're wondering who is going to have it, what kind of tree they're going to have, what its new home is going to be like. You know, we don't want to think about, oh, I hope it's going to be loved. Of course it's going to be loved. But anyway, that's it. Now, the way I set it overnight is I use its little container. I have the container over somewhere else. Use this little container, and I just set it upside down with enough room that any little dribbles can come out the bottom, and it has room to get air in to dry thoroughly. And this isn't going to do really anything else. It's all done. It's done moving. Very pretty. And so this is the little lid that goes to it. And when you put it in, you'll have to be careful not to scrape the edges. So if you need to use a tool or something to gently set it inside and then let it pop open, you can do that. Not something to worry about. I think that you can actually squeeze this down a little bit until you get it where you want it. And then it'll pop open and hold it in place. And it will be a beautiful little Christmas tree ornament. Alright, so that is everything. I know it's a long video, but crafting, making beautiful things takes a lot of time. And I'm glad I got to share it with you. And I hope you all have a wonderful week and lovely day and good feelings all around. I'm Kate Davis, and visit me. Look at the strange things I do. Got lots of strange things around here. So I'll be doing more with you later. Thank you. Bye.